I realized in the morning when I'm heading down the road and I'm drinking my coffee and doing a video for you. After the video, my coffee's kind of cold. I don't like that. So I'm going to drink it during the video. I was going to do a video last night, but I'll start this. It's one of the rip the Band-Aid off type situations. You guys know our struggles with Punch the Clock last year. We stopped with her. We tried to breed her. It just seemed like there was always some little reason she didn't carry a foal. It was bacteria in her uterus, and Dr. Alyssa at Walnut said, Anthony, she called me in end of May, I think, middle of May, end of May. She said, I've seen this before. If so much wasn't on the line, I guess I should start with that. The breeding to Walnut for Punch the Clock was a lot of money up front, and I don't want to make this about the money, so I'm not going to talk about it that much. It was all up front, no guarantee. So for a young mare with no reason not to get in foal, what was the risk? So we bred her, I think, end of February, March, April, May, and Dr. Alyssa called and said, Anthony, I've seen this before, the cultures that come back on the mare, just a little bit of bacteria, and I think, if there wasn't so much on the line, you could just stop with her for the year. She goes, but you have another option. You can do embryo transfer. It's where they fertilize the egg and punch the clock, and then they will put it in a surrogate mare. ET. You see a lot of it at the sales for various reasons. And it's going to be a little costly, but given the circumstances, yes. So we did. The rate of successful pregnancy was very high. So yes, that would be fine. Mare got in foal right away. I just got off the track with Roser and AJ last night. We'll talk about him in a second. I thought maybe he should have won, and I'm trying to figure out what I just went through. There was a lot going on last night. We'll talk about that, not just in our run. I get an email. The mare was in foal. She was in foal. We checked her this morning. She's not. And as I said, it's not, obviously it's a huge financial loss for my partners and I. But just to go through that whole experience was, one, eye-opening, and two, upsetting. The one thing about this industry, and the one thing it'll teach you, is that no matter how smart you think you are, or how ahead of the curve you think you are, you're not. And, with breeding, much like in real life, right? For many of you that were maybe tried to have children out there, it didn't work right away, did it? You never really think about it as a human, but as somebody who owns a mare, why isn't it working? What is going on? The mare is fine. You're telling me she's fine. Clearly the stallion is fine. Why is this not? Why can't we make some donuts here? Well, I don't understand. We have all the ingredients. We have the oven. What's the problem? And just another facet of this industry where you think you got it figured out. And that's really what we all love about horse racing, right? Is that it doesn't matter how much money you start with. It doesn't matter how rich you are, how smart you are. There's just always a way for you. We talk about eating humble pie, right? And I talk about how training horses down. I got a lot of people that I have a lot of respect for that just can't seem to get it done on the track sometimes on a consistent basis. And then you see other people and you're like, how does this person walk and chew gum yet they're crushing it? Right? Because this game is not built that way. It does not have the same parameters that other games do. And that's what we love about it. So A disappointing end to this year, to 2024, on the breeding side for our mare Punch the Clock. We are not going to have a foal in 2025 from her, and that is the biggest disappointment. Sure, the financial aspect of it hurts. Of course it does. But not having the foal for her and for us is it's a little disappointing. So a rough start to her breeding career. I guess that email last night just opened up an entire flood of questions and thought processes, and a lot to think about between now and February 2025. I can tell you that. So we'll wait. Right now, she's still. I told the reproductive vet at Dr. Alyssa at Walmart just to clean her up, and then we'll figure out where we were going to send her. I didn't know where we were going to send her. Her herself. I guess I was trying in the back of my mind to think of who we may breed her to next, and that may help decide where she ends up right now. But I certainly don't have those answers. And anyway, I guess it's just one of those things. It's a little frustrating. It's a lot frustrating, disappointing, but at the same time, nothing that thousands of people before us haven't gone through. So anyway, that's that. I mean, I don't like to start the morning with disappointing news, but as I said, it's one of those rip the Band-Aid off type situations. Yes, it sucks. It's over. Turn the page and move forward. Now, last night, watching the races, man, I gotta be careful because I don't want to overstep here. We had some horses make breaks over the last 2 days at Northfield Park in weird places, but the same places for the most part. And I was almost knocked down last night. The young man there, Tyler Angus, in front of me with a horse, put a bad step in and almost went down. My horse went over his bike. I did go down momentarily, but thankfully for the people who own the horse, he was okay. But it conjured up some disturbing trends at Northfield, and I myself went to the judges and said, listen, there's a few horses, and listen, I guess I should preface this by saying I think everybody involved in trying to fix Northfield that maybe needed a makeover, a little makeover, everybody that made that decision, that was a huge undertaking that cost a lot of money last year, and it was born from all the right reasons, right? People wanted to see Northfield become a safer, better place. It's not that it wasn't safe, but as far as speed on a half-mile track, it was one of the better half-mile tracks around. As a driver, I can tell you I've only ever been to 2 half-mile tracks where you would start into the turn and the horses would accelerate into, through, and out of the turns. That's why they got the land of the flying turns, remember? And that's why it was a transition. It was hard when I first moved there. You know, when you're on a half-mile track, you want to make front, slam the brakes on, get a breather in the second quarter, and then hopefully, Bob's your uncle. After that, you can drop the hammer. But horses would just pace first over and pace right by me down the backstretch. You couldn't drive at Northfield like it was a half-mile track before. And now it just feels like it's old Western Fair Raceway. The turns were flat, the track was slow, and then the surface itself didn't appear to be knitting together that well, and the horses were making breaks. I'll call a spade a spade. When they first put the new track in, Aaron Merriman went nuts. He went nuts. Track is terrible, it's slow, the horses aren't playing the same on it. By playing, I just mean the way the miles are going. It's not playing the same way it used to. Horses are making breaks. It's not a safe track. And we just assumed it would have to knit together. Then if you remember back in January, we hit that little thaw. We couldn't even race on the track for what, 2.5, 3 weeks? Now, I've raced everywhere. For those of you who are from Ontario or remember Ontario, I cut my teeth, so to speak, at Quinte Exhibition Raceway. That's where I got my first parimutuel catch drives for the most part. Kawartha Downs after that, shortly thereafter, because it's the same kind of, it was the same kind of clientele in that area. But I got my start in Quinte Exhibition Raceway. Probably one of the most treacherous ovals ever conceived. I may have been the only person not to get hurt, either in a minor way or a major way, in my short tenure there. This wasn't tenure. I maybe drove 3-4 years there. You know, and I always had that proclivity to a small track because I'm from Prince Edward Island, so I like racing on a half. Now, many of you don't know this, but my first lifetime drives, well, my first was in Charlottetown for Bernie McGuigan, a horse named Larry Fifi. But my first drives and my first start as a driver was at Blue Bonnets in Montreal, both my brother Mark and I. But I also raced at Northfield Park, Rideau Carleton, then moved to Ontario where I started racing in Flamborough Downs full time. The old Barrie Raceway. I drove a lot at the old Barrie, a little bit at the old Barrie Raceway. I shouldn't say a lot, a little bit, once in a while. So, raced on a half-mile track, plenty. And as I said, Belleville, probably the most treacherous track. Well, last night I watched almost 3 accidents. One, somebody could have got hurt. Second one, I think there was 3. I didn't feel like I was in danger, but an inch to the right or a hair to the left, and I could have either got dumped out or the gentleman's horse could have fell down. Now, when you're about to be in an accident, you hear people all the time talk about everything just slows down, right? Whether it be a car accident or when you're in a horse accident. When I broke my wrist and went down and my shoulder and my ribs, as I get launched in the air, 2 things go through your head. It just feels slow. You can assess most of what's going on, and then as you approach that precipice, it's gonna hurt. That's what goes through. That's what through my head. It's very vivid. And last night I didn't feel like I was in any danger, but I knew there was a chance the horse was going to go down. The first thing you want to know is who's behind you. I know I'm sitting 7th or 8th. The horse that's directly behind me was to the outside of me. So worst case scenario, I'm about to be in an accident, but I don't think I'm in any danger from behind me. Secondly, and this is important and a lot of people don't understand this, and it's something that was drilled into me when I was a kid. So when the horse in front of me started to fall, I have enough room to almost get the horse around the race bike in front of me. But what happens then is that horse is now stopped. You're still moving forward. You hook that wheel and get launched to the left. And I'd said this before, but I remember Mike McDonald telling me when I was a kid. I remember, just like it was yesterday, I was walking down the stairs. He had a picture of a great horse named Rumpus Hanover. And he was winning a big stake race, and Mike has a work boot. What looks like a work boot on his right foot now. Mike McDonald was one of the most prim and proper human beings I'd ever met. And he's got this big old musty work boot on his right foot in a stake race. And I asked him, I said, what's with the work boot? He goes, I'm going to tell you something, son. I'm going to tell you something, kid. He said, you and your brother just got your license. He said, so I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Almost every accident I've been in where I got hurt, it was because I thought I could or started to get around the horse that was falling and got launched out in front of other horses and got trampled. That's what happened here. He said, so, if somebody falls down in front of you, you do your best to miss them, but don't try and get around the bike, or you'll end up in the hospital like I have many times. And that always kind of stuck with me. So when a horse falls in front of you, you're better to miss the driver to the left or to the right, but make sure, try and stop the horse. But if you get around that race bike, you're going for a ride. And then, of course, obviously, as you get launched, now you have a loose horse on the track also. So I did hit his wheel and kind of fell down a bit, scooped the horse back up, and Tyler's horse went on. Didn't actually fall to the track, just made a dirty break, went on, and I did too. So I go in and I call the judges and I said, listen, that's two accidents I saw tonight. One very close to myself, and another one where two people left the track and went home hurt, all in the same place. Now, this track is not safe right now, in my opinion. I've seen too many of these horses make breaks, and we can make excuses for the track and say, oh, they're 2-year-olds, or their hobbles are too long, they're coming from the 5/8 in Southern Ohio. I heard somebody say that, and it's the dumbest thing I ever heard. ENP horses make breaks. Oh, they're trotters, they'll run all over the track. These horses are making the breaks in the same places, and they're being driven by people that, one, know the horse, and two, know the tracks. Not stupid people. Smart trainers, smart horsemen, smart drivers, for the most part. Maybe not me. But I told them, I said, and they said, well, what do you think's wrong? And I said, I don't know if I'm qualified to say, but I just don't think the drainage is right. I don't think the track is flat properly. The water sits along the rail, and what happens is the horses just chew up that rail. And you can dig it up all you want, but realistically, my 2 cents, the material it is with the grade, they took some of the grade away from the track. There's no flying turns anymore, I can assure you of that. My 2 cents, I think they need to pull the pylons and grade that right down to the grass every so often. Not every 5, 7, 10 weeks. Every week. Pull the pylons, grade the track down. If you want to go the other way and pull all the material up, fine, but you have to have a grade. The water has to drain off, and it's not. And they can say it is. I drive on it. It is not. When it rains, it sits along the rail. And you can see all the hoof prints. It's like a decent fair track now. That's not me ripping it apart. Keep in mind, remember how I prefaced this statement. All of this was born from good intentions. There was a ton of money spent trying to make Northfield a better place. Just didn't happen that way. So I think somebody has to come in and fix that track. I mean, the good news is, it's still Northfield Park. It's still a good track. And I don't think you have to walk it back, and how do we get back to Northfield? I don't think that's the play at all. I think you just look at everything that has happened to this point from that day when it was started. We started racing on the newer track. Call it water under the bridge. Stop. Okay. We're not completely happy with the way things are. How do we make them better? And the reason it annoys me is because I see all the people on the internet saying, oh, it's the speeds they're going and the horses aren't sound and the drivers got their handholds too far back. For the most part, those are people that don't know, right? And no disrespect. If you're one of those people out there that have written those things, that's great. I know some of the best drivers in the industry, and I'll be going to the gate with them and saying, man, those handholds are way back. But at not one point in that thought process have I thought to myself, that is not safe. Now, I'm not going to name names. I can tell you two of the best drivers of my generation, their handholds are way back to where I would not be comfortable. Two of the safest drivers you'd ever want to see. Never see them in trouble, ever. So, let's just put that argument to bed. I'm going to call it silly because it is. And for the people out there that make that argument. Now, I like the one where they lean too far back so that creates too much room on the track. That's interesting. I find that one interesting. But the safety thing for the most part. Sorry. No. Now that that's out of the way, I just spent 20 minutes talking about a racetrack and a broodmare. Sorry. It's a 2-hour drive to the Meadows. As you know, I'm going to the Meadows today. We got 3 qualifiers. Tonight we have our 2 fillies. Our 2 fillies at Scioto. An interesting mix. Oh, he'll know. I'm still now trying to get a bead on this mare. Is she good? Is she not? I think she is. She didn't race great the other day. Maybe she just wasn't ready to. That's a possibility. You're making my coffee cold. Well on its way. The qualifiers today are an interesting mix. What a lady, what a night. I want to get that qualifier to the reason I woke up at 5:30 was because I want to be there to go both trips with What a Lady, What a Night. The priest can jog and go a slow mile. Just want to get a clean line on him, scope him, and see are we making any headway in regards to these allergies. That's the chore for today with the priest. And then What a Lady, What a Night. Melisandre is going to school today again also. So I'm happy to do that. So it's going to be a fun morning. And then I'm thinking to myself, am I going to go home and have a nap and then go to Scioto? I don't really have time. And then I remembered about Ollie's Ellie De La Cruz jersey that I got to bring back because it has the security tag on it. I have the receipt, I have the jersey, should be in and out. But I have to go down there early. I guess when I'm down there, maybe I'll have a bite to eat and then go to Scioto. Race our girls' high hopes and oh, he'll know. Not the heart of the order just yet, but 2 fillies that are intriguing for 2 very different reasons tonight. So I'm interested to race them. Now, last night we had a night of okays, right? A whole bunch of thirds and fourths, and I want to talk about. I'll talk about them quickly. That's not true. We did have a win. I apologize for everybody, all our clients out there that are my partners on the Michigan horses. It's not always easy to, when you go in and search the USTA, first off, the way that our calendar works is it automatically draws entries, and there's been some hiccups, but it draws entries from Trackmaster, I believe. Well, you have to separately click on the fairs. It's a separate thing. So if we're drawing from the calendar, you literally, if somebody has to win them, so it gets missed, right? The fairs get missed. And I appreciate Dennis and a lot of our clients have reached out to Kelly or myself today. You forgot about Sunset Acres Girl. Our only winner yesterday. Very timely win because it was like a $10,000 race in Michigan and she was a winner. So great job by Donnie. Mountaineer Prince is on his way to Donnie again now. I believe we have him on the straight and narrow. As I said, I trained him in 2-1. Surely we can keep Prince moving forward. And I entertained the thought about going to drive him, but I just don't see how that's possible in this climate right now. How busy I am. But we'll see. We'll see. Now to last night, Brace for Landing was in the Open. It looked like 2 layovers in Fashion Frenzy and Gaines Hanover. Gaines Hanover made a break going to the gate, so now we're guaranteed a check. James gets in a position around the last turn. It looks like he's an easy third. Gets kind of pinned down in a 5-horse field. Gets out, but still finishes 5th, but placed 4th because Passerino had gone through pylons and coming into the last turn. So we were 5th place 4th, but it looked like he's an easy third if he gets out, which it ended up being a 5-horse open with a 2-horse breakaway. But still, the 2 horses that were around him were no slouches either. Frank's Angel and Passerino, decent horses. So a decent mile from him. Again, he trots 53 and 328. Improvement. Right, we continue to see this horse mature. I want everybody to take note of the maturity of Brace for Landing. I had preached and preached and preached. Well, 2 things. One, I had hitched my wagon to him. I just thought that he was a nice horse and someday he'd come around, and he's not there yet. And then secondly, I told everybody what kind of a horrible mistake I had made by sending this horse back to Ontario. I just thought the classes weren't working out. We were really struggling to get him done. And then I went out and I won with him. And ever since that night he won, it's like it was like a monkey off his back, right? That line, he had 4 poor finishes going into that race. And that line where he won seemed to wake him up, right? It's so weird to watch a horse come to life off such flat lines. every race since then, even his 5th, his 3rd, his win, every race since then has been a little bit better. And I know by time he was 2/5 slower last night, but with the horses he's in, with the class he's in, where he came from, how he looked, finished up strong going through the wire. I think there's been progression in every single race, and just goes to show you, you know, you can make good mistakes too. You know, I told everybody, I think I made an error by sending him back to Ontario. We were going to let it play out. We were literally drawing the papers to bring him back to the States, and then I won with him. And then James drove him, and he was 5th, then he was 3rd, then he won again. Now the horse has found a new life. I was going to say a second win, but he's never been as good as he is right now. So I'm thoroughly pleased with Brace for Landing. Dancing in my socks. You know, I could go about this 2 different ways. I can tell you I don't think he's a great horse. I think he's an okay horse, but he raced better last night than I thought he was. I'll put it like that. A little bit right hind. I think he's got a little curb that's biting him. Now, the only concerning part was I did see a little wrinkle right front. We did do his knee and his coffin joint this week. It was his first bout of vet work, I believe. And I still found a little wrinkle in him. So here's my take, and I said this to Jason. Big, strong, good-looking horse. We could put him in the sale, but if we put him in a sale, I want it to be an in-person sale, which is the Ohio sale later on. August 27th, I believe, is what it is. You can put him in for whatever, and you can take him out if you want. But I'd like to cryo that right curb, and I would like to put the flip-flops back on him for this duration of that cryo healing up. He's going to need 2 weeks. He's going to need a week off, probably 14 to 18 days from now he'll race again. But in that time frame, I'd like to put the flip-flops back on him and cryo that curb right hind. And then I think we'll see our best horse. Because he looked to me like he was going to be 4th. Easy 4th. A driving 4th. And then got out of gear in the last turn a little bit and just went to sleep. He's a big giant colt too for a half-mile track, especially the track in the condition it's in right now. I think there are some changes we can make to get a little more speed out of him. First off, we have to take care of the horse. So dancing in my socks, although he didn't blow me away last night, he wasn't awesome. He was decent, and I wasn't disappointed in him last night. If anything, I thought he actually raced better the entirety of his work, his mile last night. He felt better than I thought he would. So a small win, I think, in that regard. All gas, no brakes was good. You know, again, when you don't know the horse, you get Tyler taking him off the gate, being safe with the horse. You know, that's the difference. And this is certainly not Tyler's fault. I think if James drives the horse, he gets away close, and who knows? Maybe he still can't beat Mr. Magic and that other horse. I have no idea. He raced good, and I think we got all we were going to get from where we were last night. I think now, though, now that Tyler knows him also, if James can or Tyler both can't drive him in his next start, I think Tyler Jones would be a fair sub-in also now that he knows the horse. I don't think he did anything wrong. He did exactly what I assumed he would do first time driving all gas, no brakes with those sketchy lines underneath. I thought the horse raced good. And then Yo Mister, a close 4th again. That was a salty crew. I didn't realize how tough the race was. I couldn't understand, I couldn't fathom why he was 10-1 morning line in the 18,000 class and then like 30-1 going to the gate, but it was a salty enough crew. Harry said he thinks he has a splint left front that is bothering him. And he did show a little bit left front last night, so I don't think there's any reason to pull Yo Mister from Ontario at this point. Again, it's always, you always have to understand the grass is, you know, the oldest saying for us, right? Grass isn't always greener on the other side of the fence, and just be wary of quick moves and knee-jerk reactions in this game. You can never be right, and even sometimes when you're wrong, you luck out and you're right, as we did with Brace for Landing. But be as surgical as you can when you're moving horses around or you're making changes, whether it be small changes or wholesale changes. Measure twice and cut once, as Chris used to tell me. And then Rosa and AJ, truthfully, I thought he was a winner last night. I know somebody messaged me and said, well, I think it was 27-3 down the backstretch. No, I think you're looking for a reason why the horse lost. If you want to blame me, go ahead. I let the horse dart down the backstretch a bit because I didn't want to let that horse up into my mirror getting into the last turn. I didn't want him right up alongside me. Clearly the horse to beat was Ronnie Gillespie wherever he was. I know what he was pinned in because he didn't move the horse first over. And the other horse to beat was the one climbing over my back. I'm not so worried about the one first over, but I don't want to let him up into my mirror and then not be able to sprint away, have him pace by me. Ronnie gets out like he did, comes on, and all of a sudden I'm 4th or 5th. No, I'm going to drive the horse to win, because that's what I'm out here to do. I was very pleased with how polite he was. 28 to get him backed up 28, that was great. To get him backed up 58 was great. He should have been able to go 27-3, 28 apiece, put them away with the earplugs in. That's what I expected him to do. Now, could he get a hold of the track good? Remember, for those of you who don't know or don't remember, Roser and AJ wears window bars. The inside corners of his feet always bothered him. So we've just left the window bars on him. Was he spinning his wheels a little bit in those bars? Possibly. I watched the replay again last night. I think his hobbles are a little tight too. Like to let his hobbles out a couple of holes. Pace is good, pace is clean. I don't foresee there being an issue. Maybe start with one hole and move to another, but I think they could go out a couple of holes. We're not going to take the window bars off him just because. So we're not doing that. And he is coming off the virus and is starting on the Lasix program. That was his second start last night. These are all minor excuses for a horse that really... And I'm not taking anything away from the horse. I don't think he did anything wrong. He just didn't do enough. And I know he can. And I think that is the underpinning of Roger and AJ's race last night, as far as I'm concerned. Needs to do a little bit more. Needs to work a little bit harder. But that's okay. Starting out his career. Plus, it's worth noting, one, he's never been on the front of a race. Yes, in his qualifier he did, but when you're running away from inferior horses, it's not really the same. It's the first time he had to leave, control the race, and pace away. It's an acquired taste also, sometimes. So I thought he raced adequate. I think he could have put a better effort in, but I don't really think I can blame him attitude-wise. I don't think anything last night, the finish of that race, was not attributed or tied to his attitude in any way. So that is where I'm going to leave it now. 33 minutes. My apologies. Wow. Cold as ice. But I did want to talk about a number of topics. One being punch the clock. Two, the track. Because I had a lot of people, both clients and otherwise, messaging me last night about the track. I think everything up to this point is water under the bridge. Let's work on fixing it. That's my take on it. And then our horses last night, pretty decent night. We did have a winner in Sunset Acres Girl. Brace for Landing, a very good 5th place 4th, but could have been 3rd. Dancing in My Socks did what he could. Need to do a little work on him. All Gas No Brakes raced great again. Yo Mister raced very good again. And Roser and AJ raced good. A lot of goods. A lot of A- and A's last night. So hopefully today we don't got a stellar lineup. We have now Legion's in tonight. High Hopes making her career debut. Oh, he'll know. Picked a win from the inside, I believe. So a decent night tonight. But obviously all the fireworks again for this week. Starting a little bit earlier this week. On Wednesday, Freedom Hill, Lonely Lakewood, Aunt Lily, Don't Talk About Bruno's, and George of the Jungle are going to try and get their careers advancing in Ontario also. Why is the other horse not in here? Aunt Lily, Freedom Hill. Oh no, I guess that's it. Lonely Lakewood. Thursday, we're going to have the Buckeye Colts. Friday, we have 3 different racetracks on the go, not counting Ontario if we have anything in Ontario, and also we have Chicago Hall on Thursday. Friday, I'm going to be over here with Arrowhead Hanover and Manhattan Money and the likes racing in the Arden and the overnights. Then we have a number of other horses entered in to go. Friday, the Pacing Fillies go in Scioto. I've virtually made my decision as far as to where I'm going. I'm going to be at the Meadows, I believe. Brett Miller was listed first on all the fillies in Fire and Shine. Gorgeous package Foxy Seaside, and Roser and Alexandra. I got them all today. He'll be listed on them. And then Saturday it gets really, really cool. And Friday we have also Irresistible Sun Gypsy Hill. Yes, the class didn't go, but we were able to get them in. Talked to Dan Noble last night. He was a little peeved also that that class didn't go. $30,000 final, and they couldn't get 6 horses. Makes no sense to me. So instead we get to stay home and race for $5,700. And then Saturday it gets really cool. We get the Adios, and hopefully it's not lost on me. I hope we draw good. So excited about Saturday. It's going to be a real, real cool day. You guys got a RSVP or a survey. We're going to try and put together a group outing somewhat if we can at the Meadows. And then Sunday, Monday, Lexington, Kentucky starts. Man, oh man, the summer is flying by. Lexington starts on Sunday and Monday. So with that, I'm going to let you go. After 36 minutes being held hostage, you are now free. I will talk to you all very soon. Good luck to all my partners today with High Hopes, Century Legion, and Oh Hell No. Good luck to our qualifiers today. What a lady, what a night. And the priest and even our schooler in Melisandre. I will talk to you all soon. And we have another qualifier. I didn't forget. Oh, no, that's tomorrow. That's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Cleveland, Masha. Anyway, I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.